if anyone doubts about the future, and everyone doubts whether the future is mobile, perhaps you could tell me why you think Instagram was worth $1 billion to Google. What made a company less than a year old with virtually no revenues, no profits, no hope of either, no vision of either in the future, what made that actually worth $1 billion? Any thoughts on that? Mobility. Google was terribly concerned about mobile and the future of mobile and how they play in mobile. And so that was the role that we entered here and where we were beginning to play. What I want to talk about today is how we got where we are today, a bit about the health of competition in New Zealand, both for the economy and for consumers in New Zealand, and a touch on some of the challenges ahead in all parts of the market. The 2 degrees so far, to our story so far. How did we get where we are? Well, actually, our investors, our private equity investors, had been looking at New Zealand for some time. But much of the money didn't come in because the rules in New Zealand really were not in good condition. And so competition really was slow to get here. However, as you know, in 2006, a health check was done on the mobile competition, and mobile competition specifically in New Zealand, and it was found wanting. Number transferability, number portability wasn't quite there yet. National roaming there weren't rules around national roaming. The spectrum allocation was a little bit dysfunctional with 800 megahertz in one hands and 900 megahertz in another company's hands. And of course, mobile termination rates, the rates that carriers charge each other, were in need of considerable amount of work back in 2006. But after that review, some changes were made. The regulator was strengthened. Many of the barriers that I mentioned there were removed, and then significant amount of money came into 2 degrees. So while the business really started in 1999, 2000, 2001, the money didn't come in to actually build the network until 2007. And in August of 2009, as you know, we launched. So what kind of a difference have we made so far? What kind of a difference has competition brought in the mobile space today? Well, Venture Consulting was hired last year, a firm that's been used by Telecom, by Telstra Clear, by Vector, and also by the Ministry of Economic Development. And they produced an economic study, which we're happy to share with you, or have shared with some of you, and it's available on our website. The impact in so far, in the short time that the third entrant has come into the mobile communications market, is about $2.2 billion of direct investment, indirect investment, and also a competition dividend, i.e. the difference of prices in the marketplace to consumers across the economy. And looking out for the next 10 years, expected, if things continue on the same path, another $7 or $8 billion to the economy. These are all, when you read the study, you'll find that they're very, very conservative assumptions, just looking at voice and text, and only begin to look at the impact on the data revenues, which you've heard here today so far is a significant part of the future. So for consumers, what did we say? Well, we wanted to try to do things differently. Carryover minutes was something we brought to New Zealand, where you get to keep your minutes for a year, not lose them at the end of the month. Online porting or transferability of your number, done within a few hours rather than a few days. Developing combinations of services for prepaid customers that were new to New Zealand. Being able to purchase top-ups and purchase products for prepaid customers online and through Facebook, which was an innovation. Online self-care, transfer of balances from customer to customer, from peer to peer, and also the first Tadeo handset in New Zealand. And where do we stand today? Well, as was mentioned, we're just over 900,000 customers. We expect to be 1 million customers in another few months, if all things continue as we hope. Customers have ported in or transferred their numbers to us. Over 300,000 customers have brought their numbers with them. We had one of the largest retail expansions in New Zealand last year, opening up 32 new stores across the country. We're up to almost 600 staff. We're covered by 40 different nationalities in our company, and of course 24/7 customer care. But what's ahead? Well, look, we're broadly on track. We've not yet achieved the return on investment that our investors are looking for over the long term, but we're really very much on track. We've grown significantly, as I've said, on the back of a even more significant investment of over $580 million from the people who entrust in us this business plan and counting. The fact is, before we will reach profitability, we face new challenges across the market, as have been mentioned here, around data demand. Everyone in this room has a smartphone device, even if it's a BlackBerry. And smartphone devices today are using over 500 megabytes per month, and probably approaching 1 gigabyte per month in the very short-term future. So as was said earlier, voice and text are really declining. Data is a significant issue for us, for the industry, for the future. Well, what does that mean? So for a new player who's not yet quite profitable, but moving in that direction, we'll need to make an investment in the fourth generation technology to meet that demand before we've returned an investment on 2G and the second generation and then third generation of technology. So these are really critical challenges for us to solve. The opportunity is tremendous. You can see it in the device we're using today, and so we will find a way to solve that. But if government policy made mobile competition possible, then I would say that the regulator has played an absolutely critical role in delivering on that policy intent. Competition is just beginning, particularly in the mobile space. It's not yet mature, and it's not sustainable until a new entrant like ours can stand on its own 2 feet without the help of our equity investors. Then it's not yet sustainable. And it's true that the size and power of the market players do matter. The fact is, barriers that were identified in 2006, 6 years ago, still do remain in place, and we really are still a bit in the catch-up mode. One of the key things that I think are a critical challenge for us is that it can often be what is described as social suicide to come to 2 degrees. I have so many of my young friends who say, would love to come to 2 degrees, but all of my friends on company brand X don't want to call me. So that's still a challenge for us that we need to unlock. And so we do depend on a regulatory environment. And the reality is that the telco industry across the world is a regulated industry. So it's not if it should be regulated, it's how it should be regulated. And we think that the ComCom decisions, while we don't agree with everything that they've decided, or we don't necessarily agree with the time period or the speed at which decisions are made, we do fundamentally agree with the approach and the framework that the Commerce Commission has adopted, and is definitely moving in the right direction. It is using its powers to pressure for change and continue to monitor the health of the industry, and we applaud that and continue that. We support that. The demand side study that's underway, absolutely critical to understand if there are blockages to uptake and how to really roll it out quickly across the country. The cross-net traffic monitoring is an absolutely essential part of watching whether mobile competition specifically continues to grow. Infrastructure sharing, as we roll out into the next generation of technology, while the industry is going to adopt the fourth generation technology, the community will not tolerate another significant number of towers or significantly larger antennas on towers or structures. So I think it compels us to really look at a kind of infrastructure sharing that we haven't looked at before. So what's next for 2 degrees? What's next for 2 degrees? Well, customers tell us that they want to continue to have a choice. I think there's some interesting challenges for us. The entry of handset locking into the industry this last year with Telecom's Skinny product is a significant change in fundamental structure in the industry, and I think it really has the potential to shift prepaid in an important way. I think more importantly, the early termination charges that are charged for long-term contracts. While we have early termination charges, and we certainly support the need for early termination charges when we're heavily subsidizing product, the reality is, if you have a 2-year contract, does it make sense to have to pay $850 in your 23rd month when you've fulfilled a significant part of your contract? Those are the kinds of things that will really help open up competition in the future. Look, we are truly humbled by the support that we've had in the industry, with nearly 1 million customers in them today so far. In 2.5 years, 3 years, it's a significant and a very, very important statement of why a third entrant in the marketplace has had an impact, why it's important. The $2.2, perhaps $10 billion impact on the economy over the next 10 years is another important statement about why more competition is effective. The incremental investment that's gone into the industry, the $580 million that's gone into 2 degrees so far, are another statement of why it's important and why it means something. The reality is that when our majority shareholder came into the market in 2007, and today, just a few weeks ago in Wellington, said very clearly that this is one of the most exciting investments that he's seen in the last 10 years. And this is somebody who's been in the business for over 30 years. And further said that this was New Zealand, and 2 Degrees Mobile is one of this group's and this person's largest personal investments. I think it says a lot about a vision for the future. We expect to be here. We look forward to being part of this, and we're excited about the future ahead. So thank you very much.